It was late September, 2:47 in the afternoon. Officer Price was at his desk in the lobby, halfway through paperwork he'd been avoiding all morning. The front door opened. He looked up, expecting another complaint about street parking. A little boy stood in the doorway. 4 years old, maybe. Mismatched socks, blue shirts, and a red shirt with a dinosaur on it. In his right hand, he held a dog leash, gripping it so hard his knuckles were white. The leash dragged on the floor behind him. No dog. The kid's face was streaked with dried tears, but he wasn't crying anymore. He just stood there, staring at Price with eyes that looked too serious for someone so small. Price got up slowly. His mind was already running through scenarios: lost child, missing pet, or something worse.
"Hey there, buddy," he said, keeping a distance. "Are you okay? Where are your parents?" Nothing. The boy looked down at the empty leash, then back up. Finally, barely loud enough to hear, "I can't find Charlie." Price knelt down. "Charlie is your dog?" The boy nodded. "What's your name, son?" "Tommy." "Okay, Tommy. Where do you live? Where's your mom or dad?" The kid's lower lip trembled. Still no tears. "I don't know. Charlie was supposed to show me." Something about those words made Price's stomach drop. He glanced at the door. No frantic parent rushing in. The street was empty. He reached for his radio. "Dispatch, this is Price. I have an unaccompanied minor at the front desk. Male, approximately 4 years old, says his name is Tommy. No adult present. Can you run a check for any missing child reports in the last hour?" Static, then. "Copy that. Stand by." Tommy hadn't moved, still holding that leash like his life depended on it. Price noticed mud caked on the kid's shoes, small scratches on his legs, like he'd been walking through brush. But what Officer Price didn't know yet was that this wasn't about a lost dog at all. "Tommy, what does Charlie look like?" "He's brown and soft. He has a white spot right here." The boy touched his chest. "That sounds like a good dog. How long have you had Charlie?" "Forever."
Which could mean anything when you're 4. The radio crackled. "Price, negative on any missing child reports. Nothing in the area." That didn't add up. A child this young doesn't just wander off without someone noticing. Price looked at Tommy's clothes again. Clean, recently washed. The kid looked healthy, well-fed. Not neglect. So where the hell were his parents? "Tommy, what does your house look like?" The boy thought about it. "It's white, and it has a red door. Mommy painted it red last summer." "Good. That's good, buddy. What about your street? Do you know the name?" Tommy held his head. Price walked back to his computer and pulled up a map. At least 40 streets within 2 miles that could have white houses with red doors. Without a last name or address, this was impossible. He tried again. "How did you get here? Did you walk?" "Charlie and I walked, but then Charlie saw a rabbit. He pulled really hard and the leash came off his collar. He ran away and I tried to catch him, but I couldn't." "Where did you lose Charlie?" "By the big trees, near the water." Riverside Park. Had to be. 6 blocks from here, heavily wooded on one side with a creek. If the boy had walked from there alone, he'd crossed at least 2 major intersections. Price felt his chest tighten. He radioed for backup. Officer Linda Morrison showed up within minutes. She had 3 kids of her own and was better at this than he was. She sat down on the floor next to Tommy without saying anything at first. Then, "I lost my dog once when I was about your age. His name was Buster. I cried for 3 whole days. But you know what? We found him. He was at the neighbor's house eating their cat's food."
Tommy's face softened a little. "Did Buster come back home?" "He sure did, and I bet Charlie will too. Dogs always find their way back to the people they love." Before we continue, if stories like Tommy's remind you why kindness matters, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us share more stories that matter. Now,
Back to Tommy. Morrison asked the same questions Price had tried, just from different angles. What did his mommy look like? Did he have brothers or sisters? What did they eat for breakfast? Each answer gave them pieces, but nothing that fit together yet. That's when Price saw it. On the leather leash, half hidden under Tommy's hand, was a worn metal tag attached to the loop. He'd completely missed it before. "Tommy, can I see your leash for just a second? I'll give it right back." The boy hesitated, then slowly held out his arm. Price took the leash and examined the tag. Old, the engraved letters nearly worn smooth. He could just make out a phone number. 7 digits, an old-style number from before area codes were mandatory here. Long shot, but it was something. He went to his desk and dialed, adding the local area code. The ring rang once, twice, 3 times. "Riverside Community Church? This is Father Michael speaking." "Damn it. Father, this is Officer Daniel Price with Riverside PD. I'm calling about a phone number on a dog tag. Do you know anything about a dog named Charlie or a boy named Tommy?" Pause. "Charlie? I knew a Charlie years ago, beautiful golden retriever, but that dog passed away nearly 3 years back. Why?" The phone number on that leash was about to reveal something nobody expected. The pieces shifted in Price's mind, but they weren't making sense yet. "Can you tell me who Charlie belonged to?"
The Brennan family, Robert and Patricia Brennan. They lived over on Maple Grove, white house with the red door. I did Charlie's blessing when they first got him. Lovely family. But Robert passed away about 4 years ago, and Patricia, poor dear, she moved into assisted living last year after her memory started going. The house sold just last month. Price's pulse quickened. "Does Patricia have a grandson named Tommy?" "Oh yes, little Tommy Brennan, Robert's pride and joy. I haven't seen that child in probably 2 years. Is everything all right?" "I need the address for Patricia Brennan's assisted living facility, now." 10 minutes later, Morrison was in a patrol car with Tommy, heading to Maple Grove Street. Price was driving to Meadowbrook Assisted Living on the other side of town. The pieces were coming together, but the picture they formed was breaking his heart. The facility director met him in the lobby. Her face was white. "We've been searching everywhere. Mrs. Brennan was in the common room watching television at 1:35. When staff checked at 2:15, she was gone. We've had people looking, but we have no idea how she got out, and we didn't even know about the boy." "Show me her room." Patricia Brennan's room was small but comfortable. Photos everywhere. Tommy in several of them, younger in most of them, always smiling. In many of the photos, a golden retriever sat beside him. Charlie. On the nightstand, a framed photo of an older man in military uniform. Robert Brennan. But the photo on the dresser stopped Price cold. It showed Patricia, probably in her 60s, kneeling next to Charlie, attaching something to the dog's collar. A leash. The same worn leather leash Tommy had been holding. His radio crackled. "Price, this is Morrison. I'm at the Maple Grove address. The new owners say an elderly woman came to the front door about 45 minutes ago asking for Charlie. They tried to help her, but she seemed confused and walked away before they could call anyone. They didn't even know she was missing from anywhere." And that's when Price realized Tommy wasn't the only one who was lost. Did Tommy recognize the house? He did. He's upset. Keeps saying this is where Charlie lives, where his grandma lives. Price, I think I know what happened. Price knew too. Patricia Brennan, lost in dementia, had somehow left her facility and made her way back to the house she used to live in, the house where Charlie used to live, where the memories were. Somehow she'd found Tommy, or Tommy had found her, and in her confusion, she'd given Tommy Charlie's old leash and told him they were going to find the dog, a dog that had been dead for 3 years. She'd sent her 4-year-old son through a journey of her broken memories. But where was Patricia now?
Price ran to his car. As he drove, his radio came alive. A woman matching Patricia's description had been spotted near Riverside, walking slowly, calling out a name. Charlie. Price reached the park in 4 minutes. He found Patricia Brennan sitting on a bench near the creek, exactly where Tommy said he lost the dog. Elderly, thin, wearing a blue cardigan despite the warm afternoon. Her eyes were somewhere else. He approached slowly. "Mrs. Brennan? Patricia?" She looked up with a gentle smile. "Have you seen Charlie? He's around here somewhere. He loves this park. We bring Tommy here to play." Price sat down beside her carefully. "Charlie is waiting for you, Patricia, and so is Tommy. Let's go find them together." Her face lit up, not with recognition of Price, with something else. "Tommy is such a good boy. He takes such good care of Charlie. Robert would be so proud." Price radioed for an ambulance, not because she was hurt, but because she needed evaluation. He stayed with her, listening to her stories about her grandson, her dog, her husband. All true, all from years ago, all as real to her right now as the bench they sat on. The paramedics arrived gently. They knew Patricia, the director told Price later. This wasn't her first time wandering, but it was the first time she'd made it this far. Back at the station, Tommy sat in Morrison's office, eating crackers and drinking apple juice someone had grabbed from the break room. When Price walked in, the boy looked up. "Did you find Charlie?" Price knelt down, the same way he had hours earlier. But now he knew the truth, and truth gets complicated when you're explaining it to a 4-year-old. "Tommy, do you remember when people die? Like when you went to see your grandpa and your mom said he went to heaven?" Slow nod. "Charlie went to heaven too, 3 years ago. He was a very good dog, and he loved you very much, but he got old and sick, and it was time for him to go." Tommy looked down at the leash. For the first time since he'd walked through that door, real tears formed. "But Grandma said we were going to find him." "I know, buddy. But sometimes when people get older, their brains get confused. Your grandma loves you so much that she forgot Charlie was gone. She remembered all the happy times when Charlie was alive and you were little and everything was good. She wanted to find those times again." "Can we find them?" Price felt his throat tighten. He said, "We carry them here." He touched his chest. "In our hearts. That's where all the good memories live. Your grandma's heart is full of memories of you and Charlie and your grandpa. That's why she went looking." When Tommy's mother arrived, she swept her son into her arms, sobbing. She thanked Price and Morrison over and over through her tears. The facility director had called too. Patricia was resting, sedated, with new safety protocols being put in place immediately. As they were leaving, Tommy turned back. "Can I keep the leash?" His mother started to object, but Price held up a hand. "Yes, you can keep the leash. That leash is a connection to Charlie, to your family's story. It's part of your family's story." Tommy nodded and gripped the leash tighter. 3 weeks later, a letter arrived at the station addressed to Officer Daniel Price. Inside was a child's drawing, a police officer, a little boy, and a golden dog with a white spot on its chest. At the top, in an adult handwriting, "Tommy wanted you to have this. Thank you for bringing our family home. Patricia is doing better. She still asks about Charlie sometimes, but she always remembers to ask about Tommy now. That's what matters most." Patricia held on so tightly to what she'd lost that she walked through time itself to find it. And in that moment, she reminded us all, love doesn't fade, memory does, but love never.
If this story moved you, leave a comment telling us about someone you're holding in your heart today. Like this video. Subscribe for more true stories that remind us what really matters. And remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is hold on to hope, even when all you have left is an empty leash.